Hello, and welcome to Alpine School District's Dual Language Immersion Parent Orientation presentation. My name is Alan Smithy. I'm the District Specialist for Dual Immersion, and I'll be talking you through this presentation. So we ask, why immersion? Of course, it makes sense that the optimal window for our children to learn is while they're young. And any of you who have experience learning a second language, usually the earlier you start, the easier it is to get to proficiency as you get older. There's lots and lots of research that show some of the benefits of being bilingual and learning from a young age a second language. And some of those are cognitive, some are executive control, and just the ability to access information that you've learned with two paths, with two different languages. And of course, even when it's not about the money, it's about the money. Immersion programs are the least expensive way for us to help kids get proficient in a second language. Some of the proven benefits of immersion are, of course, second language skills. Believe it or not, even though kids are learning half their time in a second language, when they get to about fourth or fifth grade, they start to equal or surpass their monolingual peers in standardized tests, which is kind of nice. Again, the cognitive skills that I mentioned before, they get some cultural sensitivity and some of the long-term benefits, in my experience, besides those that I've already mentioned. They learn to make deep and lasting friendships with the cohort that they grow up with. They tend to be more accepting of others because of the cultural experience that they get. So there are some really good long-term benefits to spending time learning a second language. The objectives of our program, of course, we want them to do the very best they can in their second language. We want to make sure that they get a good academic experience in both English and another language. And whether that English is your first language or not, that's the goal, is for us to get English and a second language, all content areas taught. We want them to be able to work in a number of settings. Kids get exposed to culture while they're in this program, and it helps them be more understanding, more accepting, and they have really an enriched education because of this. In our district, we offer elementary in 11 different schools. We have 4 Chinese programs, 1 French, 1 Portuguese, and 5 Spanish programs. And they're spread throughout the district, as you can see on this chart. What can you expect in dual language immersion? Well, we have what we call a 2-teacher model. So we'll have one teacher who speaks the target language, and that's in our district, it's Chinese, French, Portuguese, or Spanish. And then they have a partner teacher who teaches English. And so the students will have 2 teachers. They'll spend time with both of them each day. There is a consistent separation of languages. What does that mean? That means that the target language teacher will only speak in the target language when he or she is around their students. And you might ask, well, how's my little first grader going to understand what the teacher's saying? Well, quite honestly, they probably won't at the very beginning. But the program is designed so that in first grade, the teachers only speak the target language, but they can understand English. And so when your child asks questions, the teacher will respond, but in the target language. And our first grade teachers are truly amazing. The way that they can communicate what they want to their students, whether it's pantomime or drawings or actions, songs, voices. They do a lot of things to engage students, and they get them so that they come along really, really quickly in the language. And so about halfway through their first grade year, when they get to about January, that's when the teacher will stop understanding English and require the students to use more of the target language so we can push them along. So your daily instruction, it's half in target language and half in English. So what most schools do is they have the students about halfway through the day, they'll switch. There'll be 2 classes worth of kids. So one will be with the English, one half of the students will be with the English teacher, and half the students will be with the target language teacher. And then at midpoint of the day, the 2 classes will switch. And so if your child started with, say, Chinese in the morning, he or she would finish with English that afternoon. And so the kids get a chance to get both languages every day. And if you want some really detailed graphics on what that looks like, as the kids go from first through sixth grade, you can find that at that www.utah.dli.org. There are some charts on there that will show what content areas are taught in each language each year and what percentage of their day is dedicated to those. The way we fund our program is we get grant money from Utah, the state of Utah. They help us to buy our literacy materials so that we get our textbooks and those kind of things that we need to support that. And so that doesn't come out of our district or out of your local taxes. The ongoing costs is just like any other class. So we have a class full of students. We have to have a teacher. We have to have a building. We have to have different things. And so those supplies and costs are already part of our district budget. And so it really keeps the cost down for this. And a real kind of benefit we have is because this is a statewide program. Our teachers can reach out to other teachers to collaborate. So if we have a second grade Chinese teacher that needs some advice from a peer, there's no one else in her school that teaches second grade Chinese, but she can reach out to another school in our district or even other teachers in the state that teach the same thing. And the state does a good job of providing training every year for our teachers so that they can stay up on what's happening in their craft. Another thing is if you happen to move somewhere else in the state that offers the same language that you've been studying in our district, then you should get priority seating when you get there so that your child can continue in the program somewhere else. What are your responsibilities as parents? We have you commit to a long-term participation in the program. And what does that mean? It means if you apply to a school, now you can apply to as many of the schools as you want. You can apply to all 11 of them, or if you only want one language, you can apply to all the schools with that language. If you get accepted in the lottery to that school, then we expect you to stay at that school while your child is in elementary school. And so that means, for instance, say you live in Saratoga Springs and you get accepted to a school in Orem. We would not have you, after 1 year, try to transfer to the school closer to home in Saratoga Springs, because that would really be not fair to the program that you started, because it would leave an empty seat. And so we ask you that once you get accepted, to commit to attending that school while your child is in elementary. Now, if you truly move, if you buy a home somewhere else and move somewhere else in our district, then of course we'll consider if there's availability in the class that your child would move to, then we can consider that move. But generally speaking, once you get into a program, we ask you to stay in that program throughout the elementary time. Develop an understanding of immersion. This is your first step, learning a little bit about it, how the program works. And as you grow in the program, as your child grows in the program, the more you understand about it, the better you can support them at home. Probably the most important thing you can do to support your child as they learn a second language is to read with them, or have them read to you when they can, for 20 to 30 minutes every day in the home language. So if your child is learning Portuguese and you don't speak Portuguese at home, and English is your home language, then we would ask you please to read or have your child read to you for 20 to 30 minutes every day in English. So have them read the home language every day, and that's really going to give them the basis that they need, because language is transferable. So as they learn how to understand the characters and plot and everything that has to do with a story that in their native language, in their home language, then when it comes time to learn about those same things in a second language, they already understand, they already know how to comprehend, they know how to look for clues and do those kind of things that will support them with their reading and their understanding in that second language. Encourage the use of the target language outside of the home. So if you get a chance, of course, when COVID changes our life again, when we're able to get out more, and if you go to a restaurant where they speak the language that your child is learning, encourage your child to use that. Or if you meet people or have friends that speak that language, please encourage your child to use the language so they can see that it is useful and they could be successful with it. In my experience, most adults, when a child tries to speak to them in their native language, will not make fun of that child. They will encourage that child. And that's something that will be a positive experience, so that your child can say, hey, I can use this somewhere besides in my classroom with my teacher. and it'll be something that will give them a little more incentive to try hard and to learn what they can so they can practice their language in the future again. And again, when we're able, if you have a chance and you have the time and the opportunity, try to volunteer in your school. Try to support the program as you can there. The teachers love to have help. It doesn't mean that you have to speak the language that your child is learning. There's still other ways that you can help at the school or in some of the classrooms. And so that would be a positive experience. And kids always love to see their parents. Well, little kids always love to see their parents at school. And it really helps them feel like what they're doing is important. And please enjoy the challenges and then celebrate the results. Now, there is one caveat for parent responsibilities transportation. If your child is accepted in a school that's not your neighborhood school where you would normally be bused, you are responsible to transport your child to and from school every day. Now, there are lots of places where you can find other families that are going to the same school, so you can do some ride sharing and those kind of things. But it's your responsibility to make sure your child gets to school every day, and we certainly prefer for you to pick them up at the end of the day also. Who can apply to our immersion program? Any current kindergartner going into first grade next year, starting in August of 2021, can apply. Whether they have learning needs or anything like that, doesn't matter. They can still apply. It's open to all students. We give preference to Alpine District families. And so if there was a reason why someone from outside of the district applied, we would give preference to an Alpine District family first. Here's one thing, though, you really need to consider. If your child has a significant communication delay in their primary language, this may not be the best option for them because it is a language-intensive program, and if they already have a problem with language, then this may compound their difficulties or their anxiety. Application process. We'll open the applications on the 16th of December, and they'll stay open until January 31st. And it doesn't really matter when you apply in that window, so it's not like a first come gets a better opportunity. As long as you apply before the application closes on January 31st, then you'll be considered in our lotteries. We'll send out notifications. You'll know by mid-February if your child was selected or not. If you get selected, you'll get an email and it'll have instructions on how to do a parent commitment form, and there'll be a due date for that. And that's important to get that in on time, because if you don't, then they'll just think that you're not interested and they'll go to the next person on the list. And so it's really important for you to get that parent commitment form turned back in by the due date. And if you happen to live out of the area of the school you got selected to, there'll also be an out of area form you'll need to fill out. And that pretty much just lets the school where your child would go, lets that principal know that they won't be there because they're going to be in dual immersion at a different school. So we know where to expect kids to show up, and we have an idea of what kind of numbers, so they know how to hire, how many teachers to hire and stuff like that. Now, this program actually goes all the way to 12th grade. And so this is a little graphic that shows a little bit about what happens after elementary school. So 7th, 8th, and 9th grades, it's our middle schools and junior highs here in Alpine District. On the left, you can see the blue and green 7th, 8th, and 9th. Those are the mandatory immersion classes. That's going to be their language class. So in 7th and 8th and 9th grade, they're all built around the AP themes, with the idea that students, if they would like, can take the AP test at the end of their 9th grade year. On the right-hand side of that proportion, the DLI Culture, History, and Media courses, those are semester-long courses that we highly recommend for 7th and 8th graders. It really does help flesh out the culture part of the AP test so that students have a better chance of passing that as early as possible. Now, the bottom portion, if you decide to have your child take the AP test as a 9th grader and they score 3 or better, it's a 1 to 5 scoring. If you score 3 or better on the AP test, then your child can start what we call our bridge courses. And so in high school, it's a 3,000 level course from UVU. It's taught at the high school. A UVU professor comes on the high school campus one day a week and co-teaches with a high school teacher. The high school teacher has them the rest of the time. And it's a year-long course, and they'll earn 1 high school credit and 3,000 level university credits in that year. And so if they choose not to take the AP test as a ninth grader, then that's the right-hand side. Then they'll just take their language AP as 10th graders. And then when they pass or they score 3 or better on the AP at the end of their 10th grade year, then they'll get 2 years of those bridge courses. And so you can see that there's a possibility of getting up to 9 upper division credits in your language, which will put you within a 2 or 3 maybe classes of a minor in that target language, which is a pretty good deal. So it really is a unique opportunity for our kids to be able to learn a second language while they're young. And really, kids are so resilient, and they're so able to grasp new ideas, and it's just amazing to me to watch these kids learn from first grade in a language they've never spoken before, to learn how to read and write while they're learning how to read and write in English. And they're able to just seem like whatever we give them, they can do. And it's pretty cool. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out. My email is there and my phone number, my office is there. If I don't answer, please leave me a message and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. It's really important to me that your questions are answered and that you know exactly what you're getting into. So as families, you discuss the future of your child's education, and if immersion looks like that's something that you would like to do, I want you to have every chance to get your child into one of these programs. And thank you for your time.